off-leash dogs, or was that you?
No. If I let my dog off leash, she would be having such a good time, I'd never catch her. So that doesn't happen.
Okay, we're live now. So, all right, one more minute, then we're starting. Where's my cheat sheet? I gotta find it.
Cal, you dropping by my house to go get another rock?
Oh, am I supposed to? I wasn't told I'm doing that.
I don't know. It's on my porch.
I only do what I'm told, you know that.
Brian, before we get started, have we received any more applications or I'm sorry, petitions for the park board election?
We have not received any completed petitions except for one.
Okay, let's get going. And everyone ready?
Yes.
Okay, I want to call to order the Finance Committee meeting of the Park District of Highland Park for Thursday, December 17th at 4 p.m. Roxanne, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Bernstein,
Here.
Commissioner Grossberg.
Here.
Let me see.
President
President
Ruttenberg.
Ruttenberg.
I am here.
I wasn't sure. I wanted to check for Brian.
You're great. Okay, so we have a quorum. So the next item on the agenda is public comment for items on the agenda. Executive Director Romes, has anyone from the public submitted any emails to be read aloud for public comment?
No, they have not.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the Finance Committee meeting minutes from November 24th, 2020. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'll let the record reflect there's a motion by President Ruttenberg and a second by Commissioner Grossberg. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the 2021 budget presentation book. Director Peters to present.
Should I go grab my copy or?
Yeah, you don't have to. She's going to go page by page on the screen, so you don't have to.
Okay.
Did it seem like the book was smaller this year, or is it just
We have a smaller budget.
yeah?
That's right. Less numbers, less pages.
But I got through today. I got through about half of it, so at least I made it.
But we ran out of money for the booklet.
No, actually, this one is 71 pages, and last year it was 72 pages, so we're really only down a page. I looked at that.
And that's because we consolidated one of the pages to be as green as we possibly could.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love it.
So there you have it. All right.
All right, let's go.
Okay, so good afternoon. And before you on your screen, you have your budget book. So if you have yours at home, you can follow along. If not, we can follow the screen. And even though someone just said we're going to flip page by page, boy, we would just be here forever. So we're just going to go to things that are mostly new that we have not discussed before, or some things that we have touched on before that are important. We're just going to take a high level look at. But the first thing I want to go over with you is starting on page.
Marilyn, one quick. So what's our goal today? Is to go through the entire budget? Is that what the presentation is going to be?
It definitely is. And our goal is, if we are all good and happy with the budget book at the end of today, then we would be presenting this at the workshop meeting in January. If we still have unanswered questions or things you want us to follow up on or look into, then we would propose moving the Finance Committee meeting that is currently scheduled on January 14th and pull it up to January 7th so that we could meet again to go over, again, any kind of changes, questions, or whatnot with the Finance Committee before the workshop meeting. So
okay,
we're
all right,
working to get through this.
all right, let's plow ahead.
Okay, all right. So on page 2, which we have in front of you, this is in here every year, the Park District of Highland Park. It gives a lot of interesting historical data on the Park District, as well as updated current statistics, and it's all about the district. So we're really not going to spend much time in this, but just wanted to point that out to you. That's what these first few pages are all about. Then starting on page 6, we have a letter from Brian and I, and there's a few highlights in here. So I basically highlighted in yellow. As we go through, you'll see everything that I want us to just touch upon. So In this letter, we just wanted to remind our readers that COVID-19 challenged the district from every angle during 2020, yet we still remain financially healthy at the end of the year. In 2021, the district hopes to work on cost recovery strategies in order to ensure that programs and activities offered are relevant and at appropriate pricing. Staff will also begin planning for a future multi-purpose recreation and administration building addressing the aging West Ridge Center. As far as our budget overview for 2021, we have our general special recreation and recreation funds where we are anticipating a combined operating surplus of 4 transfers of almost $2 million. And then of that surplus, we are budgeting that 1.8 million be transferred over to capital projects. That would be 1.5 million from recreation and $300,000 from special recreation. And then additionally, we would have our debt service transfer of roughly $1.6 million. A quick summary of the budget. We are planning district-wide reduction of expenses of about 2.3 million or 10%. And then one of the numbers we have been monitoring very closely over probably the past 3 or 4 months when we were looking at our tax levy was what does our tax support look like? And so for 2021, the way the budget stands right now, our taxes would be 63% of our total revenue. New for 2021, we may have a trying year due to the global pandemic. And while the budget preparation was guided by guidelines in phase 4 of the Restore Illinois State Plan, staff will continue to be prepared to adapt quickly. While moving to phase 5 will allow the district to significantly increase service and improve our financial performance, falling back to phase 3 will continue to challenge operations and strain our short and long-term outlook. So in an effort to remain both fiscally responsible and strategic in the delivery of services to the community, staff anticipates development of its new strategic plan and cost recovery guidelines. As far as acknowledgements, the 2021 budget is a collaborative effort that involves supervisors, managers, and support staff throughout the district. The budget will be reviewed continuously throughout the year and could not have been accomplished without the efforts of Park District staff as well as support of our Park Board Commissioner. So thank you to everyone on the call.
Let's stop right there for a second. Anybody have any questions?
No.
Terry, Barney?
No. I think it's,
I only have one question because this was actually earlier in the definitions, also in this. Is it, and again, remind me, because I know you've already answered this before, but we're doing it different this year. Our fiscal year is January 1 through December 31st. So what is the term of this budget?
It's the calendar year.
So even though we're approving it in February or whenever we approve it in the first quarter, it's basically retroactive or nunk back to January 1st.
That's right. Yes. It is assumed that and while we may not adopt this exact budget that we are looking at today, it is assumed that we're not anticipating significant change, material change to it.
And does that create any issues operating during the first quarter without an approved budget?
No, I mean, what we will do is this will be loaded and this is what, or whatever tweaks we make today. And then we will be tracking through this. But if you recall, we wouldn't really be reporting out on January until February. And so by February, I'm thinking we would have a pretty good feel, even if we are making changes, what those would be. And we would have it loaded, with whatever adjustments.
And what does reporting out mean?
So at the board meeting, when we do the treasurer's report.
Oh, okay. Okay.
well,
Anybody have any questions?
Cal, I think, were we to discover in January that the COVID lockdowns or restrictions are going to be eased immediately because of some magic, then obviously we might have to either adopt this and do an amendment, but at some point we'll do an amendment to the budget as the Park District opportunities open up. Am I correct about that, Marilyn?
I would expect so because if we start offering, if we're able to open this up, say to a near to pre-COVID times, right, our programs and services, our revenues would go up, but our expenses would go up, and anything over 10%, we would have to amend the budget for.
Okay. All right, anybody else? Okay, let's move on.
Okay. All right, so next part of the budget book talks about our future planning. So there, we want to go over a couple things there. We have a few projects in progress right now. We have the conversion of the Preserve of Highland Park, previously referred to as the Highland Park Country Club. We're also planning for the Sunset Woods Playground renovation in the site master plan. And we have a few projects that will be beginning in 2021, which is planning for the Centennial Ice Arena renovation, planning for a future multi-purpose facility addressing the aging West Ridge Center, construction for the Sunset Woods Park Playground renovation, and approval of the Sunset Woods site master plan. And then also in the distance, we have a future project, the synthetic turf field construction. And if we go over here to the next page, we should go over different plans we have within the district. We have the land management plan, which covers 9 major topics: park maintenance, stormwater management, lakefront maintenance, natural areas, park inventory, real estate, park amenities, connectivity, and cultural resources. We also have our athletics fields master plan, which is a comprehensive sports field master plan that addresses fields to meet current and projected program needs. We have our lakefront master plan, and those recommendations are intended to guide lakefront operations, beaches, capital planning, and support possible future grant opportunities. We also have a sustainability plan, which is an internal document guiding practices leading to the quantifiable achievements in district operations. We have our capital plan, which I think we are all very familiar with. And in fact, in a little bit, Jeff is going to have a few comments when we get to that part of the budget book. Our strategic plan, due to the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, the environment has significantly changed, necessitating an update to the district's strategic plan in 2021. The district's established strategic planning themes will coincide with emergency response planning efforts due to COVID-19. And so we're going to address things such as fiscal responsibility, operational efficiency, maximize customer service, and unified and engaged work culture. So if we look at the next page here, we have inserted our annual work plan. And these are our goals for 2021. And we'd like to go over highlighted initiatives. And we're not going to go line item by line item, but more of, there are a couple things here regarding the athletic field. Then as far as the capital plan, and again, I think we have spent a lot of time previously on the capital plan for next year and 5 years out. And Jeff will just make a few comments in a few moments. Then we have things in our strategic plan listed out line item. Oh, I'm sorry. We should go over here. Sorry. The capital plan carries on. Then we have our green print projects that we have listed out. We have lakefront projects listed out, our land management projects. And then we have many strategic plan items over these 2 pages. And then we have a couple of sustainability projects. So before we go on, do we have any questions about these last couple of things we've discussed?
Nope.
No. Okay. We will move on to our operations overview. And operations overview is pretty much just going over fund structures. This does not change a lot year over year. We do then have our budget guidelines, process, and policies. And again, I just want to remind everyone really for a second time, this is a district-wide process. It takes months to put together the budget, and it involves numerous employees to complete. And we thank everyone for their participation. Now we're going to look at our public meeting schedule, which we already touched on at the beginning. But as you can see here, we're at December 17th at our Finance Committee meeting reviewing the budget. If things go well and everyone is pretty satisfied with what we have today, then we plan on presenting this book January 12th at the workshop meeting to the board. And then our next scheduled Finance Committee meeting would not be until after that workshop meeting, and we right now have an open agenda. If, however, we feel that there are a lot of things that we want to do follow up or change within this book, then we would offer to take this scheduled January 14th Finance Committee meeting and pull it up to January 7th, which would be the Thursday before, so that we could revisit the budget book. Another item that we want to
Mary, hold on a second.
Yeah.
I have to take care of an emergency at work right now.
Okay.
Terry or Barney, you want to take over the meeting, and I'll let you know when I get back.
Terry's in charge.
All right, Terry, you're in charge.
All right.
All right, thanks.
All right, Terry, then I'm going to continue on unless anyone has a question about our meeting schedule.
I don't.
Okay, all right,
Terry will act as the president pro tem.
okay, okay. Roxanne can probably note that in the minutes for us, and we will move forward. All right, as far as salaries and wages, just a reminder, according to Park District policy, every 5 years, the entire classification and compensation plan is to be reviewed by a qualified third-party consultant. Staff have included this initiative in the annual work plan for 2021 that we just scrolled through on the previous pages. And so we will probably start gathering items for this at in the last quarter of 2021, and then go ahead and have that done in 2022. So that's when we would see that expense hit the budget.
All right, and I'm going to make a comment on this, and I'd like it clear that there will be notice to the Board of Commissioners and a specific discussion as to whether we're able to implement the 3% merit pool that is being budgeted for 2021. I'm saying at this point in time, I don't think that we as a Park District Board should approve any type of salary increases, merit increases, additional staffing. I'm concerned about that.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if we want to put something in here to that effect, or we want to remove it and do a budget amendment when we see that it's appropriate. That's my perspective on it.
Well, what goes on at this, you're saying this in reference to what she was just talking about,
Yes, I am.
okay. I haven't been around for one of these. It says it's every 5 years. Is that what?
No, Terry.
Yeah.
She highlighted in blue now is that the budget contains a 3% merit
Right.
pool to be effective April 1. And I'm suggesting that I don't want to have an automatic increase in salaries. We need to review the totality of the circumstances at the time.
Okay. So Brian, what is the deal with that?
Sure. So I understand the intention of Barney's suggestion. I just want to clarify a couple things, since we're in a public meeting about exactly what it is and how this is implemented. It certainly is not an automatic thing to give a 3% merit increase to all staff. However, we are proposing that since we've been on a merit freeze for the past year, that beginning April 1st, we have the ability to begin when staff go through their annual appraisal, which appraises their performance as an employee from the previous year, that they are eligible up to and no more than a 3% increase based on the merit of their performance over the past year. And so that is what is proposed in the budget. I do believe, I will say as the executive director who signs off on every paperwork that a full-time staff member receives, from a new hire to a annual appraisal increase, that I would, before we implemented these merit increases again, I would go back to the board and evaluate where we are as a district in regards to the pandemic before moving forward with this. And if the board would like a comment in the manual, I'd be happy to talk with Mary Lynn how to put that in there so that it addresses the concern, if that would suffice from what Barney's comment is.
I'm prepared to accept it as a budget item, but perhaps we should say and you know, with the understanding that it will not be implemented without, you know, the board discussing it when the time comes, which would be before April 1st.
Well, does that make it policy then? Is that what you're saying? That this actually officially gets inserted in here?
I'm prepared to have it as an understanding, or we may need to be careful about the language that's in here. I leave that one to Mary Lynn as to the way to implement it. But again, I'm just saying, I don't want to have there to be, and I understand how it comes about that you get a merit increase, but we may at the time say nobody should get a raise.
Right.
That's what I want to protect, so that there is no, and I'm not saying that people are not working very hard and are not, you know, the core of our district. But looking at, I cannot predict, nobody can predict where we will be at the time as far as the COVID situation. And I just can't let there be raises given to employees, bonus, I'm sorry, merit or otherwise, if we're in a bad situation.
Understood. So I think what I would recommend then is if, and I'll work on the verbiage. So if we say, instead of it being implemented, or maybe you leave it, the sentence as is, but you put a comma after April 1st, pending further review, you know, of the board in March or whenever. If things are bad first quarter, which we know there is some suggestion that may happen, you know, Brian may not even want to implement this until later in the year, if at all. So I think if we change the verbiage some way to reflect that, we would be okay. My preference would be to leave the numbers in the budget rather than trying to pull them all out and then going back and trying to put them back in.
Yeah, Marilyn, and Brian, that's fine, with some change in the text so that it's known that it is something that we will, as a board, have to review. And Brian, at the time, you'll make the recommendations, and if everything looks fine, then, you know, I'm going to be well in favor of it. But again, I just don't want there to be an expectation that there will be a 3% increase on April 1st.
Understood. I'm comfortable with that, Barney. I know that Terry hasn't weighed in, or Cal or any other board members, but we're happy to point that out when we present this to the board in that manner, and we can make that adjustment.
All right, Terry, is that okay with you?
That sounds good to me.
All right. Thank you. And now, and that was and I have no idea how she was able to make it suddenly appear as a light blue.
It's the magic of the finance department. Okay. All
Thank
right. Sure. Okay, so Terry, we will move on.
Yes, let's move on.
Okay. All right. All right, the next thing we want to go over is in mid-range planning. We want to draw to your attention that $23,000 has been budgeted for an updated strategic plan in 2021 based on the reasons we just discussed a few moments ago. And now we're going to skip a couple of pages and go down to our debt position. If you recall, earlier this year, we issued new bonds, our Park Bond Series 2020, at a very favorable interest rate, and came in just much better than we originally anticipated. So you see that chart sitting in here now. And then you'll also notice up here, we used to have other outstanding certificates which were paid off December 15th, just 2 days ago on Tuesday. So we now, again, have just 4 outstanding debt instruments at 12/31/20, and then of course into our budget year 2021.
Marilyn, I'm sorry to keep interrupting, but
Oh, that's okay.
this is actually fun. Our debt ratio,
Mm-hmm.
would you characterize it, and I didn't read this in there, as, very much, companies have debt coverage ratios in loans, et cetera. We are not over leveraged on debt.
No, well, and actually the law doesn't allow us to be, right. We have a debt cap. So there's all sorts of checks and balances on government entities in the state of Illinois. So
All right, but because of our good management, we're protected whether we have the law or not.
yeah, well, that's right. I mean, honestly, and that's why we are able to explore things with Westridge right now, right? Because we do have extra capacity sitting there.
Yeah, that's really what I was getting to. That we're in a good position.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So next we are going to go to tax funding. And the reason I highlighted this, while we put this in here every year, the numbers in this pie chart change every year. And I know someone previously had said, well, I thought we were 6% of the tax bill or this, that, and the other. This year we are 7%. So this is for calendar year 2020. But I just want to point out this pie chart, it changes every year because as we know, we're freezing our taxes for 2021. But we know the city is increasing by over 5%. We know the schools are both increasing. And so, next year, these percentages will be different. I do anticipate that ours will be a smaller percent next year just because the larger taxing bodies around us are increasing their taxes and we're keeping ours the same. But just so you know, this is an ever-changing chart that we show year over year in our budget book. And so to go forward on that even more, we show our 10 years of our property tax rates, EAVs, and extensions. And so I did just want to point out to you, and we had discussed this while working on the tax levy, that the EAVs in Highland Park, they are decreasing. From 2019 to 2020, they did in fact decrease. We hope that they rebound back in 2021. But from that effect, then our levy extension also goes down because it's based on EAVs of the properties in Highland Park. We can also readily see our special recreation fund where we took it from where we have the usual, the 0.04 down to the 0.025. We can see that. And then we can see our overall tax rate is greatly reduced from all the previous years. And again, that was done intentionally so that we would have a 0% tax increase. So that's just a chart, if you're talking to your neighbors and they're asking about your taxes, it's handy to have in your back pocket.
No, that's one we should wear proudly.
Yes, very much so. Yep. Okay, now we're going to talk about capital. The 2021 budget includes Greenprint's 2024 initiatives in the capital fund. We have our conversion of the Highland Park Country Club to the Preserve of Highland Park, and our budgeted expenditures for that are about $1.4 million. We have the Centennial Ice Area Lobby and Gymnastics renovation, and we have budgeted expenditures for that of $200,000 in 2021. It would be the very beginning of that project. The Sunset Woods Playground renovation, we have budgeted $1.1 million for that. And then our multi-purpose building to address the aging Westridge Center. We would be very much just starting that in 2021, and that we have budgeted $50,000 for planning money there.
Can I just ask a question? If I remember correctly, there was a time limit on spending that money at Sunset Wood Park? Is that right? Because we used I forgot what you call it, but
Some bonds.
It was the bond issuance.
Yes. Yes. So that bond issuance, and I pretty much keep saying we have 2 years to use them. We really have 2.5 years to use them, but I wouldn't, I would hate for us to come close to not using them. So we would like to have the majority of those bonds spent at the end of 2021. And with our current capital budget for 2021, we will have spent all those funds. And so it would be a non-issue for us.
okay. I don't know why I thought that money came from growth. But okay, either way, there is a time limit on it. Okay.
Yes. Because when you issue debt, it would not be appropriate to issue a bunch of debt to your taxpayers and then not spend the money on something, right? We issued it with a purpose, a stated purpose in our bond documents. And, you know, and those needs were considered very real and tangible. And so that money that comes in should be able to be spent on those projects relatively quickly.
Yes, got it.
All right, then we have our 2021 budget analysis. And the thing we want to point out to you here is that the budget has been prepared with the assumption of being in phase 4 of the Restore Illinois plan. However, if our state or regional district is placed into phase 5 at any point during 2021, it will create significant opportunities for increased services, programming, and revenues that are not reflected herein. Okay, now we're going to get to our table section of the budget, and we really spent a lot of time on these tables at the past 2 finance committee meetings, so we are not going to spend a lot of time on them here. Just a couple of high-level observations. Again, we'll recall that we reduced the levy in the special rec fund, and so it is considerably less than in previous years. We also, in our opening comments, said that our 3 operating funds, general, recreation, and special recreation, overall, are working at a surplus. And then we can also see what our budgeted transfers to capital projects are. We have $1.5 million from the rec fund and anticipate $300,000 from special recreation, which would give us 1.8 in the capital projects at the end of 2021. Okay, now keep in mind that our financial advisors have advised staff to maintain a significantly higher fund balance than the current 25% board policy for the general and recreation fund. And this is in case the state pivots backwards due to COVID-19. And I think this is also where Barney is expressing his concern with the merit raises. So I think we are all on the same page when we're looking, you know, at our expenditures overall in the district. We are projecting right now to be looking, you know, quite well at the end of 2021 if things go as planned as we have them budgeted here. Of course, again, we have budgeted for phase 4. We know right now that some of the country, their numbers are not looking so good. We're fortunate here in Illinois, the past week or so, our numbers have been going down, but you do not know. So, you know, one can see by looking at our budgeted fund balances versus our board policies that the amounts the district is showing, we are being very fiscally responsible, and we must be prudent with our cash on hand because of the pandemic.
Can I ask a quick, Mr. President Pro Tem?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. President Barney Rottenberg.
Brian, is there any discussion by NSSRA that they won't start their building and need the funds next year?
Nope, they're starting pretty much they've already had their bids and they've already accepted them. And they'll be moving, they plan to finish by next September.
To finish? Oh, so they'll call upon us to fund this at some point then early in the year?
We've already arranged when we're going to make our payment, right, Marilyn?
Yes, it'll be first quarter of 2021.
Well, okay. And our interest rate from our bank is so insignificant that there's no timing issue there.
No, unfortunately, no. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Sure. Okay, on table 3 on the right, we want to look at, and actually I think I'll make this bigger. Let's go. I make that a little bit bigger still. So we want to look at this 74% number down here. So this is our surplus reduction, and it has been thoughtfully contemplated as it has been presented in the 5-year funding model for capital projects. The reduction only impacts capital projects and not our operations. I know that was a concern previously, you know, with all of our revenues going down, expenses going down, but it does not affect operations. We are whole with operations based on a phase 4 plan. You can see the differences. You know, down here, we pretty much shored things up when we look at budget 2020 versus budget 2021, that we're really just at a difference of about 4% at the end of the year. Now we're going to look at another chart, and this takes all of our consolidated budget revenue for the year, and it just shows how it's broken out by various items. Again, Taxes make up a large portion of our 2021 revenue because we're in phase 4, and then you can see, you know, programs and our fees and our memberships are all much reduced than what they normally are. And as Barney was just commenting on, I mean, interest is so small, it actually percents out at a 0% when you look at it this way. Okay, we're gonna continue to move past the rest of these tables. We discussed these at length at our last Finance Committee meeting. And we are going to scroll down to table 10. And again, we spent a lot of time on table 10 at the last meeting. And following table 10, we just have the summaries for each of the centers that we discussed at length at the last meeting, and as well, then there was some follow-up presentations at the board meeting on Tuesday that discussed the various centers and activities throughout the district. And where that's going to bring us to is our first appendix, which is Appendix A, which is capital. And I'm going to turn this over to Jeff.
And I will, if I can just say, Mary Lynn, I just want to make sure Terry and Barney, and I don't think Cal's back yet, but obviously you guys have already seen this. So we will go through those at the board meeting in more detail, because they have, all board members haven't seen it, but you have. That's why she's going so quick right now.
No, that's fine. Thank
Want to
you.
clarify.
Yes, appreciated.
I thought so. Okay. Jeff, do you want to use my screen, or do you have your own screen, or?
No, I can use yours. I'm just going to very briefly touch on a few items. So everyone is very familiar with this capital plan. This is the same plan that we last reviewed and was essentially approved. I just want to briefly touch on a few items that have changed since. And those are the 2020 budget amounts for both the Skokie River Woods and Preserve projects. The total project cost hasn't changed, but the amount budgeted for 2021 has increased because we're projecting to spend less in 2020 than we originally thought, based on the time that the projects actually started. Also, for the Hidden Creek Aqua Park, the sand filter replacement project, that project is going to be completed this year. However, we need to have it tested for startup in spring of 2021. So there is some retainage, and that is shown as being budgeted in 2021. And lastly, the Sunset Valley Golf Walkway that's going to be put into the new Chipping Youth area. That is coming paid from by the foundation, so it's not costing the district anything. However, because the funds are passing through the capital plan, we want to show it in there. So we didn't have that in previously, and that's now shown in the capital plan. And one other item of note is the Park Avenue gate that we are planning to install next year. That is currently budgeted at $48,000, but we've been researching this and we plan to increase that budget to $75,000. And Mitch will be talking about this a little more in a presentation a little later in the meeting. Are there any questions about any of those items?
Nope.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jeff.
I'm back.
Oh,
Terry, thanks for taking over, Terry.
It was tough. It was tough.
Okay.
Big shoes to follow.
All right, thanks.
Okay. All right. So with that, we are going to now scroll down to Appendix C. And I just want to touch on this for a second.
Mary Lynn, where are we? Just let me know where.
We're on page 52 in your book on Appendix C.
Okay, thank you.
Screen.
Let me ask, Cal, if you have any questions that you might have made some marginal notes and want to go back.
I only got through page 20 when I was reviewing it today, so I didn't have any questions.
Okay.
I promise I'll read the whole thing.
Okay. Okay, on Appendix C, and Terry, maybe this answered your question, but what we were talking about before that, the board policy of every 5 years going through and reviewing pay ranges and grade level. This is the charts and the amounts that we're talking about that need to be looked at every 5 years that we do not have in the budget for 2021, but we'll start to gather data at the end of 2021. And then the review would be in 2022, and that's where you would see the comp study in the budget.
Got it.
All right, now we are going to go down and look at fees. We historically show fees for various centers, what we are projecting them to be for next year. And we are going to head on down to Rosewood Beach here. And then we are going to turn it over to Mitch. And Mitch, do you have a screen you want to share, or are you just going to use our data?
I am going to try to share a screen.
Okay, then I will stop sharing.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And is that working? Can everybody see Rosewood Beach fees recommendation?
Yes.
Okay. So we wanted to take an opportunity to talk a little bit about Rosewood Beach, Park Avenue, as they have options on fees for the board to consider that are different than what is right now currently in the budget. So we will show what's currently in the budget as part of this presentation, as well as a few options. We're going to start with Rosewood. Staff has currently budgeted revenue in line with what's in option A on this chart. With the result of the city discontinuing the city sticker requirement for all vehicles of residents of Highland Park, along with the beach capacity challenges that we've faced this past year at Rosewood, gave us kind of pause to kind of relook at what some of our options could be for fees related to access. We did review some neighboring districts. We are currently right now most in line with the city of Lake Forest. Other North Shore Park districts do tend to charge a beach access pass fee and or a parking access fee. And when we were looking at our analysis, we were certainly influenced also by our OSLED grant for Rosewood Beach. I know we had some discussion earlier this year when we set our non-resident rate, but the OSLED grant basically stipulates that we can set a fee at a maximum of half of a resident fee, or basically another way to think of it is we can set our resident fee and then we can charge our non-residents at most double. And that's basically due to equal access. So right now one other quick thing, OSLED also allows us to, if we don't have a fee, which we currently don't, is to set a non-resident fee, and that could be equal to a comparable beach. And we used Glencoe as our comparator beach, and we can set that non-resident fee at the resident rate of the comparable beach. So that's why our fee set at 100 is comparable to the Glencoe resident fee that you see below.
Okay, can I jump in, Mitch? Just out of curiosity, and I'm sorry about this. Did we get pushback from the non-residents? Significant pushback?
No, I wouldn't. I think this year obviously was a little bit of a different year because there was so much limited access. So we did sell 445 passes. That's the first year we've sold a pass, so it's hard for us to have a comparator, but we really didn't get a whole lot of a pushback from non-residents with that fee.
Okay.
So if we were looking at a fee for residents, what we would recommend is that we would charge half of what our current non-resident rate is. This is all in option B here. So a $50 per person resident beach pass fee. And then for any household member as an additional add-on would be an additional $10. When looking at lakefront parking passes, we were looking at some type of nominal fee that would allow the park district to recover some of the cost on the production of the pass, the administration and distribution of the pass, as well as the cost to monitor resident lakefront parking access at all of our lakefront parks, with an emphasis, of course, at Rosewood Beach. Certainly not a lot of comparators out there, but the $30 resident will met fee was in line with what we were thinking. So somewhat nominal, and also it equates to less than the amount of a day pass for a non-resident right now, which is at $40. So the staff is recommending that the board considers proposal option C fee structure, which would require residents to secure a beach access pass, but at no fee, and a lakefront parking sticker at a fee of $30. And the primary reasons for that recommendation were that it chooses between one of the fees so that we're not having dual fees. It keeps it in line with just a parking access fee and not a beach access fee that has stipulations on it with the OSLID grant. We also have some concerns if we have a beach access fee, it might cause some people not to go to Rosewood and yet then find places like Park Avenue or Moraine or Millard and try to swim there. That only would create more challenges for us. And the nominal fee we know would help us with the administration of something that we have now and that we would have in the future, which is to monitor the access to parking at all of our lakefront parks. So I'm happy to answer or any questions you might have or take any feedback that you have on the options presented.
Commissioner Grossberg?
Well, I mean, obviously, the first thing when I heard this kind of idea being floated, first of all, I'm glad that there's this option C. I haven't had a time to really investigate it, but I'm glad that there's some sort of, I'm kind of a gray area guy, not a black and white kind of person on this sort of thing. It seems like you've thought through this. And so my biggest concern is when we make a big sort of decision like this is, have we thought through everything that this means? And like, I like the way you said, if we charge them a lot for the Rosewood, then suddenly people will find them down at Ravine or at Park Avenue, and that causes other problems. So that's the kind of thinking that I'd like to do, a deeper dive into this to find out, what it is that we don't know before we jump into this. Has there been any other kind of considerations you've made as you recommend option C? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think, there's right now the budget is with option A, we know we would continue a non-resident fee. There would be daily access for non-residents again this year, assuming that we're not having big capacity issues. The C option really is more or less looking at parking and the challenges that we know we have, not just at Rosewood, but at other parks with limited parking. And also being able to have, we know we're going to have some type of method to manage that without the city sticker. And we've done lakefront passes before, but certainly not to the level of quantity of distribution that we've done, or we're going to have to do going forward, regardless if we have a fee on it or not. So that's why we were, I'm sorry, go ahead, Terry.
No, go ahead.
That's why we were leaning a lot more towards that too, because of the fact that we know we're going to have to do this not only this year, but for all assumptions long into the future of having some type of pass to be able to monitor access control.
So this is a trend. It's not just a short-term way to raise revenues for the district.
That's how I see definitely the parking access piece for sure. That's something we're going to have to do long term. I think what raised our potential concerns at Rosewood with a maybe beach access fee was the capacity challenges that we had this year. I think next year is an unknown on that. Will we really have that many capacity problems? Not really sure. We'll always have parking challenges at Rosewood just by its very nature.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think, I know, staff debated this at length, and we wanted to be very transparent, I think, with the board, and I think the community too, and just knowing that, obviously our financial situation is in a little bit of a different spot, and our expenses are significantly increasing on the Lake Shore as you saw earlier in the presentation, one of our initiatives is to look at cost recovery based on the level of service that we're providing to the community. This is clearly one of our mission critical core services that we provide to community, similar to a park or a playground. The difference is with swimming, there's a high expense that goes along with lifeguards, and now with the parking as well. When you combine those two, we're increasing our budget significantly with security and access control. And so we thought it would be responsible to at least propose some options for the board's consideration, with also providing a recommendation from staff, which is option C, which we believe is pretty minimal, but does help a little bit. As you can see, anticipated revenue does increase just by charging a resident vehicle sticker of just $30, which allows you, a resident, to park all along the lake shore, which you need a sticker no matter what, because it's the only way we can tell resident from non-resident.
Right. So for me, my thinking is, as long as this isn't just a way to gouge the Highland Park resident, but it is a part of a trend, it is part of getting back some of the critical fees that we're paying to maintain these areas, I think that's an important distinction.
Yes.
Anything else, Terry?
Nope.
Barney?
Thank you. I like Terry, think it's great that you guys have thought this through so much. Before COVID, remind me, we charged nobody to use the beach. It was totally free, right?
Correct. Sorry. So non-residents did pay their parking and a day fee. Sorry, they did pay a $10 day fee.
2019 was the first year. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely in favor of our not charging our residents and not, saying, well, you got 3 kids, that's $30 more. I'm not happy with that. How much are we anticipating in revenue from the resident $30 parking sticker?
Yeah, so that estimate in option C is a conservative estimate, taking the number of households in Highland Park and saying at least 20% would purchase the lakefront pass to have lakefront parking access. We know that some people will live close by, won't need it. We also know that a lot of people do like to walk down, even even if they live somewhat of a distance, and also ride their bikes and things of that nature. So It's taking a conservative approach of 20% purchasing a lakefront pass.
So that's 2,500 households approximately.
Yeah.
I'm just doing, so that's,
I think it was 2,300 is what I used this as far as the math goes.
okay, times 0.0009. So that's about $70,000.
Yeah, that's the difference between the 94 and
Correct.
the 163.
Yeah, I'm slow.
Sorry.
Believe it or not, I like it, but I would make a suggestion that we have no fee for senior citizens. And it's a gesture that I think we could make to our seniors. But beyond that, I'm okay with the $30. And I'm also wondering if we could simplify this and say, like we're charging $100 for a non-resident, and I can appreciate that. And then the extra fees, etc. Maybe we should just have a family. There's going to be very few people, in my opinion, who go alone to the beach. And so I'm just wondering if we want to just simplify it and have a, whatever it is, a $225 family pass or whatever you want to call it. I'm just trying to think of a way of simplifying it for everyone's benefit, guys. That's all. And I'm not opposing to any of the numbers, and I'm not disputing that we should do these charges. It's just, is there a way of making it simpler? And the simpler we have it, that means it's easier for staff, easier to administer. I leave it at that.
You're speaking of the non-resident fee.
Oh yeah, I want the residents who are already paying taxes to get it free. And you know, to have a tier where, if, okay, I'm taking my 2 grandchildren, so I've got to pay another $20, I think it's kind of insulting. But I'm saying maybe we have a non-resident fee of $200, but it's or $250. What, I leave it at that. It's a family package, since again, almost I can't imagine very many people going down alone who are non-residents. That's all I'm saying on that one. What is a daily beach pass though?
So that $10 option would be for a non-resident. So currently there is the option, I know because we had capacity problems, we stopped selling dailies, but we would assume that in all 3 options, we would still allow a daily option for a non-resident.
Why would we do that?
Well, it's been our past practice, and you know, we certainly do get sometimes a visitor that will just be a one-time visit to Rosewood. I think the pass sale is, of course, from maybe a neighboring community that doesn't have a beach, that knows they're going to go to Rosewood a lot, and it would be their benefit to buy the seasonal pass. Again, if we don't have capacity issues, I certainly think we want to have some type of access capability for our non-resident.
Yeah, I'm just saying, why don't we? Okay, again, I don't know how many, if it's even worth it. And do other communities have a daily pass, or do they just say you buy the season pass?
There are some day pass options for the communities. I'd have to get you the information on that.
All right, I would just wonder if we should even bother with the day pass, that's all. That's my only thought. All right, you've heard my spiel.
Okay, thanks, Bernie. All right, so so I'm looking at this, and so really the only really the difference between option A and option C is the $30 resident per vehicle. Is that correct?
Correct.
What is our I see the anticipated revenue. What is the anticipated expenses with regard to Rosewood Beach?
I believe it's right around 190,000. I can pull my book here real quick. I don't know if you get to it quicker, Mary Lynn, or
You know, I'm trying to look too. Rosewood Beach, we are showing a budgeted expenses of 198,000. Very good, Mitch.
So under option A, we're losing over $100,000 at Rosewood Beach.
Yes.
And is that what we've budgeted in the 2021 budget?
We budgeted a loss of about $94,000.
Okay. And so the purpose of the resident per vehicle sticker is really twofold. One is the elimination of the city sticker. So there's an administrative charge of providing some type of proof of ownership, proof of residency for people parking down there. So that's number one, right?
yes.
And the second is trying to recoup some of the anticipated losses that anticipated losses at Rosewood Beach for 2021.
Correct.
Okay. I mean, we have to have some type of mechanism with regard to provide proof of residency for people parking there now that there's no longer a city sticker. So we're not going to card everybody, looking for driver's license and stuff like that, people pulling down there. So I get that. So it's residents per vehicle. So people who have two vehicles, you're looking for 2 stickers.
Correct.
And was that in your figure of roughly 20% believing they're going to purchase? Is it? I mean, did you extrapolate from that how many people purchasing multiple stickers possibly?
At this point, it was a consideration of 20% of households, so it would be one per household.
One per household. All right, so I guess, I mean, originally, when I looked at this and listened to the presentation, I had real concerns about this. However, the fact of the matter is that we have to go do something in order to prove residency for parking for Highland Park citizens. I think that, you know, we have to figure that out. We're gonna have to issue a sticker anyway. A nominal $30 fee is, I think, reasonable. So I get that, and also anticipated operating losses to try to address the anticipated operating losses. I think if that is messaged with, because this is something new, no one likes change. So if it's messaged that we have to replace the Siggy sticker, and also the operating losses, we're trying to make a dent at the operating losses, I guess, you know, that will help address people's, you know, concerns about all of a sudden having to go and buy a sticker to go down and park at the lake. So I think I'm okay with it. With regard to the other charges, I agree wholeheartedly that we should not be charging residents to access the beach. I think that would be a logistic nightmare. I mean, our beaches are not really set up for that. So I think that that's fine. And I don't have any issues with the non-resident charges. I mean, they could be more. I think that if we're looking at trying to adjust fees in the future, I would suggest doing it on non-residents, not on Highland Park residents.
Okay.
Cal, would you support that seniors would have a reduced rate or would have their sticker for no charge?
Do we do that across the board in the district? Do we have a policy with regard to offering seniors reductions?
Our policy is 15%.
15% on $30 is
About $10,
$450,
$9,
$450.
$450. Oh, my math is way off.
right? Isn't it
Yeah,
$450?
yeah. It's
Thank
three
you.
and half of 3 is 150, so 450.
Yes.
I mean, I would be in favor of the district policy for 15%. I'd be fine with 15%.
Yeah, we don't have to give it all away.
All right, I can do with that.
Okay. Anything else with regard to this?
Yeah. I
Not
did-
with Rosewood. Oh, I'm
Well,
sorry.
there was nothing that we're going to do is going to reduce our staffing, because we're still going to be looking to check IDs or get the passes, et cetera. Do we have any way? So my question is do we have any way of providing somebody with some kind of I don't know what I want to call it, identification band or something. Again, I don't know what it is. So if they go down to the beach and they decide they don't want to take their wallet with them or their purse, and if they are within walking distance or they drive and they should have their license, but I know people don't always do it. Is there anything we could give them to identify them as a resident? Some kind of wristband or something?
Yeah, so this year for the non-resident pass, we did do silicone type wristband. We are looking, that's an option certainly as the mechanism to check people in. We're also looking at the capability of doing an actual check-in with, like you do at the rec center, with a little surfboard. And those, again, they for a resident, they'd be issued for free. We'd be looking at doing things as the beach opens up, to have staff down there to register people with one of those so that we're not inconveniencing them. So there's a couple different options that we're pursuing for that access control checkpoint.
All right, let's look for the least expensive and the one that does not involve as much staff as it might be, because we're not going to have, it's already being overstaffed because of our needing to separate the residents from the non-residents.
Are we gonna have scanning ability down there to be able to scan those what they call surfboards?
Yeah,
I never knew that.
that's the plan, is to have a scanning station. It'll be a mobile station, so the ability to connect directly, actually, but we would use an iPad right by the bottom of the hill, which is also across the bridge by the parking lot, the lower parking lot, and then at the upper staircase. So there would, and we have to, if we're going to charge non-residents and we're going to do access control, we have to give residents a pass anyway, and we have to control access. Otherwise, it's, you know, it's an enforcement issue, and we're going to have, you know, issues as we have in the past. So our plan is to, we are not planning on doing heavy staffing during the week, but we are during the weekend.
Is there any way that we can, people like members of the rec center or people who already have the surfboard, that we can automatically activate them?
Yeah, we can add that to their current pass.
Okay. All right. Anything else, guys?
No. I'm
Okay.
fine.
All right, next item.
Okay, so the next item, again, is along with fee discussion, and it's Park Avenue. So much of the discussion is really about a new access control gate. Just a quick view of the current gating at Park Avenue. I know we're all pretty familiar with this, but this is the entry gate off Park Avenue. Here's that big hill you were talking about, Cal, on Tuesday, off of Eganndale, the exit gate. These two gates are gates that are always open from 6:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. The gate we're going to talk about is this gate right here. Do a little bit of a blow up. It's actually located right here, and that controls access to the south part of the property and the boat launch. Generally, this area is monitored. Even before 2020, we had monitoring mid-morning through early evenings on weekends. In 2020, we did extend that to monitor 7 days a week and all the way to 11 p.m. Not just because of the south access, it was certainly because of this north parking lot as well as the north beach. This general area, adding in some type of automated gate control system, will help the Park District resolve some of the current challenges, and into the future, some of the challenges we know having a manual gate there is presenting. The biggest, of course, being the need to have a physical presence there to monitoring it. And it allows then any staff that we do have down there to do more ordinance checking, as well as making sure people are being safe, staying out of the water, those types of things. This gate has also been suggested not only this year, but in previous years by many members of our boating community, as well as the Commodore, current Commodore of the North Shore Yacht Club, and many of our members, as a much needed site enhancement. So staff has started to meet, as Jeff had mentioned earlier, with some companies to get some feasibility and cost. And right now, based off of what we're looking to achieve, a basic access control gate is looking to be about $75,000. Now, staff believes if the district commits to this project, that we could recover this investment in about 3 to 4 years on a combination of reducing some of the staff that we're just talking about, as well as additional revenue opportunities through day fees and increasing fees on storage and launch. So trying to find direct exact comparators to what everything that Park Avenue provides to launch was very challenging, but much like Rosewood, Lake Forest is our best comparator on where our fees are right now and where we are in the market. Column 2021A is what is currently budgeted for 2021. So the increases range from 2 to 7%. And they take into account utilization, market comparison, and also increases that we've had in these certain categories over the last 3 years. 2021B column shows recommended increases to fees that the Park District would add if we added the gate. So the largest fee increases would be on the power boaters with an additional $100 for either a standard launch only pass holder or a storage holder. In addition, we are proposing a daily launch fee. We know in talking with other districts that daily launches have, there's limits on the market for that right now. And we know that our seasonal holders do also impact the ability to have daily launches because there's only so many parking spaces down there. But we have done some factoring in of everything, and we believe that we could probably generate about $3,000 to $5,000 of additional revenue per year if we offered daily launches. So what staff is recommending is that the board considers option 2021B, which would include the much larger increases in fees as well as the automated gate, which basically these increases in fees would help support the cost of that automated gate.
Questions, comments? Let's start with you, Bernie.
No, I'm going through the chart.
All right, we'll go to Terry then.
My only question is, it was like our last question in regard to Rosewood, which is, what would be the additional expenses that would go along with, there was something you just said that would mean we would need to add somebody for that, right?
Yeah, without an automated gate there, right now the budget has about $10,000 of staff commitments to help manage and monitor access control of accessing the south part of the lot. So they literally stand at the bottom of the hill, they'll check stickers, similar to what they do at Rosewood, to make sure that you have a proper sticker. And this would prevent people from going to the south part of the property if they don't have a Park Avenue sticker. The north part of the property, that north lot, anybody with a seasonal lake pass holder could park in that. So residents with the lakefront season pass that we just talked about would be able to park there, and a non-resident could as well.
Yeah, I thought there was something you had just said, not the gate, but something else that would mean we would have to have a person there to do it in the 2021B. Maybe I misheard.
We would still have staff in any of these two scenarios. We would have staff as a staff presence there. We definitely could just reduce our staff presence. So the staff presence in 2021B would be an ambassador who would be doing checking of stickers if we don't have somebody always monitoring for the north lot. So they would be doing, they might be writing tickets. If there is large crowds and gatherings on the North Beach, they would be helping manage and monitor that. But it would be more like a floating ambassador. And then on the weekends, we would most likely need some coverage in the boating area as well. It's just a matter of the activity that could help dictate how we staff on a daily basis. Whereas if we have to have that, if there's nobody down there, it really could be a free for all because the gate just stays open.
Yeah, okay, I remembered what it was though, what you were referring to, that is the day passes. So you basically said it'll be a staff member that would have to be down there to, when we're not used to that.
Well, but I want to be careful here. The gate you're contemplating for a day pass, I assume it's like a parking garage where you can put a credit card in and buy a day pass?
Well, the one that we're looking at is it's a little more basic, but it's the same philosophy, Barney. Really, a day pass holder with the current system we're looking at, they would have to go to, let's say, the rec center to purchase that, and they would get a fob that would only be active for that day, and they'd swipe it. So they would get access that way. They would get a hang tag as well.
There is an option that we're looking at that's within the 75,000 though, I think, that does allow for it, similar to what you're referring to. No matter what, we have the option to do that. It's just a higher cost. So we're trying to keep it as reasonable as possible. We kind of have that point of diminishing returns when because we had quotes that came up to $150,000.
Oh, I can believe that.
So,
well, can I buy a day pass for Thursday on Monday?
yeah.
Yeah, I believe the capabilities would be there, and I know Jeff's on the phone. He might know if there was any limitations to that, but I would assume that you're basically assigning that pass to a time frame, a timestamp on that pass.
And if would we have the option of, I guess I don't, I guess if you're gonna use it more than once a week, you might as well buy the full season pass at some point, I guess.
And the boaters have been asking for this, right? This is something that they actually want.
Yeah, they want definitely better access control.
I meant the day pass. part.
Oh, yes, we've heard that. I think they've even said it at a few meetings where they feel like there's opportunity there. Now we have investigated and talked to other districts that do offer dailies. And they tend to say that, you know, it's not a large volume. We usually get maybe 2, 3 weekends, maybe 4 or 5. So it's not a huge volume, but it's volume nonetheless.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any reason that we should charge more for the weekend when it would be busier for a day pass?
We could, I don't know. I don't think I put it on the presentation. Or maybe I did. I'm sorry. Yeah, there wasn't I could get some other comparators. That $75 was more on the high end of comparators.
Yeah, okay. It's all right with me.
Yeah.
All right.
Anybody else?
Nope.
So I caught the part of this. I want to make sure I understand this parking pass. So the $30 parking pass we talked about at Rosewood, is that good at any place on Park Avenue?
Just the North Beach or the North Lot would get you access to the North Lot.
So if you're a yacht club member, you would still need to purchase if you want to park south of the gate, you still would have to purchase a parking pass.
Correct.
Okay. That's my only question. And that's what we've been doing in the past?
Yes, this past year, your city sticker got you to the North Lot, and if you wanted, as a resident, to get to the South Lot, you purchased the Park Avenue Pass.
Got it. Okay. I have no other questions. Anybody else?
Yeah, I just want to know, how's this going to be activated? Is it going to be the fob that we've talked about for the beach and for the rec center, or is this something completely different?
No, similar to right now, the technology we're looking at would be similar to our current fob system with our ID badges.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be the exact same system, actually, I believe. Jeff can comment if I'm wrong, but it's the same system, and we'll know who goes in and who goes out and how many people go in and out, and we'll have city staff will have passes as well as water treatment and
All the commissioners?
yeah, I mean, everybody who would need one.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay.
I like 2021B.
Do we have, I guess, consensus from the Finance Committee on both Park Avenue and Rosewood? It's Park Avenue option B, and then I think Rosewood was option C.
I believe so. Terry, do you agree?
Yeah, I'm in on that. Yeah.
Okay, that's the consensus of the Finance Committee.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
Thank you, Mitch. Next item.
Okay. So,
Whoa. What's just happened?
I just stopped sharing. So I'm
Oh,
handing
okay.
it back to Mary Lynn.
It's like,
I'm going to reshare. So let's see here. Okay. All right. So that about does it, I think, for our fee discussion. Appendix F, or I'm sorry, we're still in Appendix E, are all of our fees for the various facilities. We have Appendix F, which is our glossary of terms, which pretty much stays the same year over year.
we go back to Sunset Valley. Are we keeping the rates the same? Are we contemplating raising? And what's the story there?
Yeah, they're all being raised. So I can kind of give you a quick summary. So the weekday midday rate. So right now we have 3 rates. We have prime time in the morning, we have a midday rate, and then we have an evening rate. So the weekday midday rate is increasing by $2 for both residents and non-residents. And our midday fee is really, really low compared to other communities. Most communities don't even discount until 3 p.m. We do at 1 p.m. Our weekday senior non-resident rate is increasing by $2, just the non-resident. And then our weekday twilight, 9-hole twilight fee for both resident and non-resident is also increasing by $2. And then we're also adding a fee for carts if you want to be a single rider. A lot of golf courses have moved to this, where if you want to ride by yourself, it's an extra $5, so it's actually $6, so it's 25 instead of 19. And our goal with all these increases is really to keep maintaining our average dollar per round at around $35, and to stay close, but not really above our local golf courses that surround us.
Can I point out that the senior rate is not 15% off, but it's probably 30% off? 15% of 44 comes out to 37.
1420. 1420. What is it, 44?
Yeah, it's 44 for prime time, and the senior is 32.
So there is no, the senior rate is not valid during prime time, actually. So that's really, you would compare it more to the 38.
Oh, because I was trying to get the senior parking sticker for Rosewood to be less.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, thank you. Sorry to skip through that. Now, and going back to the rec center, we could talk about the rec center another time.
Yeah, we're going to actually present something completely different with the rec center, probably in January. These are our
Okay.
current fees that we're charging right now. There's no change, but we do anticipate, we've been working on a business plan model for 2021. And obviously, we're not going to implement that model until we're through this pandemic, but we will start presenting that early in the year to the board.
Okay, I would suggest vetting it first at the finance committee if possible.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay. Next item.
Okay. So again, those were the fees. This is our glossaries, Appendix F. It pretty much stays the same every year. And then that gets us to really the summation of the budget, which is our ordinance 2021-1. It summarizes what the budget looks like for the year. What I just want to remind people how we get from the budgeted amount, which are the amounts we just discussed, up to appropriation, is just a 10% increase for each line item. And the reason we have that is because if we go over budget on any expense by more than 10%, then that means we need to amend the budget and get board approval before we would do such a thing. And this is by you have the general fund. Each fund is laid out in your special recreation fund, the rec fund, our debt service fund, and then the capital projects fund. And that is it.
Questions, comments, Terry,
No.
Bernie?
No, I think this was a good presentation. Thank you for our presenters. It's cogent.
I just have one question. This was probably I missed it when I was offline. Are we having a planned deficit this year?
We do not. Our operating funds are, well, I guess it depends on how you phrase your question, but our operating funds, which would be the general recreation and special rec, those are operating at a surplus prior to transfers.
Okay, I'm going back to the 2021 budget overview. It said net district-wide deficit after debt and transfers of $4,893,000.
Right. Which page is that?
That's actually page 7. It's in your letter.
Okay. Oh, page 7. Oh,
You put in capital, right.
right. Once you put in capital, then you would have deficit spending because we have to support the capital fund.
Okay, and that's because the reason why that would be a negative is because of our capital improvements. The money coming
Right.
back out.
And I think that's, if we look at
It's on
table.
page 7.
The verbiage is, but it's pulling off the table number 1, which I think you might have missed
Yeah,
when you.
might have missed that.
Yeah, so hold on, we can just, it's very visible when you look at it. I think it's easier to see when you look at it in the table.
Okay,
So you can see here, we have the surplus in the 3 operating funds.
yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Okay, yeah, I see it. So we have a surplus in the 3 operating funds,
Right.
but then
capital,
after transfer, and what's that 5.3 million? Is
It's
that,
capital.
that's capital.
so
So it's a 4 million, as you said, Cal, it's a deficit, planned deficit due to the capital spending.
okay, so just make sure that's noted when somewhere in the budget or somewhere as a footnote, that if someone ever actually looks at that bottom line number, it's a planned deficit due to capital spending. Okay. With that, I think that's all I have. Terry, one last chance.
No, that's good.
Barney?
I just want to ask a process question. As far as this presentation, no, I thought it was good, and thank you. Have we considered, instead of having the surfboards, having a scan from phones that would be usable for the beach, that would be usable for the rec center, usable, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, we were actually considering doing that this year. Jeff may have more information. There is kind of a decent expense that goes along with that, which is why we opted to not do it this year. Obviously, that made sense.
Yes.
But so it's currently we're not, because we have to replace all of our scanners. Our scanners do not accommodate that. We need all new scanners in order to do that.
Okay, it's not the year to do it. My second question is, have we considered a park district facilities pass that's a one fee for all of the things that we might have? I guess we can't do it because we're not charging for the beach this year, are we? Forget that. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about something like that with numerous multi-facility, whether it's indoor or outdoor, and it's just really becomes challenging from a cost recovery to understand the cost benefit of doing that for both the park district and for the patron.
Yeah, I can see that.
Complicated.
As I said it, I realized if we're not charging for the beach, and the water park is a whole different issue then. Okay, I don't have anything else.
Is there anything else on the agenda? I got rid of my sheet.
Let me just see here.
Is there additional items?
Just other business.
Other business?
Yeah.
Thanks, you. Roxanne, thank you very much. You've
You're
been a
welcome.
lifesaver this whole year. Any other business from anybody, from the board staff?
So, under other business then brings us back to the question we had discussed previously was how we felt with our schedule going forward. Did we feel we needed to meet again as a finance committee to review the budget more, or are we ready to move forward and present it at the workshop meeting in January?
I rely on my fellow commissioners because they heard the whole presentation. I didn't. Terry?
Let me address. I think it's going to be a question of seeing in January what we have for that workshop meeting. If there's, I would like to have the budget presented, but as we know, it takes to do it the proper way. It's going to be, well over an hour. So it might depend on the agenda for the meeting, but I don't see any reason why we can't present it as soon as possible.
I
Okay,
agree. I think we've been through this because we took such extra care, at least I feel this way, throughout this whole process. We've been putting the poor staff through it. I think, the P's and Q's have been minded, I would believe. So I think we're ready to go with it.
Okay. I think that's the consensus of the finance committee.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any other business from the staff?
No,
Nothing?
nothing else.
The commissioners, president?
President Pro Tem?
No, I'm good.
Okay, again, Mary Lynn, I said this the other night. I really appreciate everything your staff has done. This has been, was it Jerry Garcia would say, a long, strange trip it's been. And that's what 2020 has been. And all the department heads, everybody that goes into everything that you produce and your staff and everything that's gone into producing this budget. I mean, it's much appreciated. And hopefully next year will be an easier year.
Thank you.
Okay.
Right.
Move to, I
After
move
that,
to
I'll
adjourn.
entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
This is our last motion to adjourn for the year. A second.
Second.
All right, so a motion by President Runberg, a second by Commissioner Grossberg. Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, happy holidays. Have a great year. Happy New Year, and we'll see you next year.
Happy holiday. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
All right,
you.
goodbye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.